if anyone's out there who's coming up with a situation where they're like, I gotta possibly move in with a partner.
Yeah.
I think like off top, the one thing is communication.
For sure.
That's it.
Be open and honest about your needs.
There it is. And any relationship, see the flags. Don't tuck them away. Don't try to change the color of them. If you see it, it exists and it's not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Inside Hilton's Head, where today I have two wonderful folks here. My lovely wife, Fiona, and my daughter, Veda, joining us. Oh yeah, guys, if you're not watching and you're... What the hell? That voice, if you're not watching, is... Mollie, I meant three lovely people.
Hello.
Mollie, I forgot my baby was here for a second, and I was like, I need to say my baby now that I said two.
Fine.
Two lovely people.
I'll allow it.
I am sitting next to, being surrounded by three lovely females in this house. One of them who is currently whining. But as most of you know, I am on paternity leave, and this is life. You know, we're gonna do life. Life happens, and this is how we're gonna make it work, right? So, Mollie, thank you for being back on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and babe, thank you for being here again.
Yeah, I'm so glad I invited myself back.
It's good to have.
That's what happened. This morning we were having breakfast and I was like, I want to be on this episode. I
love that so much.
Well, hopefully today's episode, which I think at some point I might need to step out with our daughter. Today's episode, the reason why I thought it would be cool to have Fiona join the episode today, Mollie, just so you know, is that I wanted to talk about relationships, not just relationships, moving in or living with your SO, right? Your partner, that life-changing thing, that transition, and how that happens and what you should be looking out for or how you do it.
Yeah.
Given that you are newly...
living with my SO.
Ooh.
And is this the first significant other that you have lived with, or have you done this before?
I have done this before, but I think this is the first time I did it correctly.
Correctly.
For the right reasons, in the right way.
Okay. What were the, I guess, incorrect ways of moving in with a significant other?
I think the past times I've done that, it's been, I mean, obviously I really liked the person. We got along and we were spending a lot of time together, but...
It was for the visa?
Yes, which leads directly into our 90-day fiancé conversation.
Jesus. Is that where we're headed?
It was for the papers. It was just for the papers.
For the people who don't understand the reference, Fiona and I, before this episode, figured out that we have this mutual, incredible guilty pleasure of watching 90 Day Fiancé, the franchise. And so hence this conversation now.
I think while most of you who love this podcast, who wanted to listen to an episode of Inside Hilton Said, I think you're basically going to get me stepping out of this episode completely, and now you're inside one of their heads, combined heads, talking about things like moving in with your significant other. And the reason, the reason why I thought it would be great to have you on, babe, is because I was your first significant other that you moved in with.
Yeah, I know. Right? Well, that's what I said. I was like, you have much more experience than this because you've done it a few times. I've done it
as many times as Mollie. Mollie and
there was only one other person you lived with?
Three. This is our third time.
This is my third time.
Your third time.
And she's hoping that her third time, she knows her third time will be a charm. My third time has been a charm. And I wanted to talk to individuals out there about the process, how you go about it, what makes it work. Yeah. What red flags to look for.
No rice cooker. That's a big red flag.
No rice cooker is a big red flag. Me too. Well, but there are things. There's ways that you have to go about this thing, And I'll start because I know there's a lot that you want to share with her, especially when it comes to the idea of yours versus mine, right? And then that coming together part of whose stuff is coming.
Right.
Right.
And even before that, I just want to say the wrong reasons to move in with someone, which is what I've done in the past, is saving on rent, which
that's a wrong reason.
Feels like it makes sense, but that shouldn't. When you live with someone, hopefully it's forever, right? And like the parting and splitting of things after you guys stop living together is really painful. It's not just like breaking up with somebody, which is already painful enough, but like add that layer to it. It just sucks. So just consider that when, you know, living somewhere as expensive as DC and you're spending all your time over at someone's place, there is still a difference of even just knowing that you have your own space.
For sure.
And having that to go back to. And just, even if you don't go back there, just knowing that it exists feels different than, you know, living with somebody. Although, you do save on rent. It was like a very realistic reason for me.
For sure. Well, I'm going to ask this question because I think it's important because I think Fiona and I both lived alone in multiple times in our lives and then have lived together.
Right.
Right. So we were living alone and then we came together as a unit. Have you lived by yourself ever?
Roommates, but never by myself.
Never just by yourself. So you've skipped the whole idea of just being alone, coming to your home. No one's around. So you're wow.
To be honest, I mean, obviously, like through high school and college, I had roommates, and then moving to DC, it's just really, really hard to live alone price wise.
Got it.
So I've lived with roommates my whole time.
I'm sure folks in New York are like, I'm snapping my fingers for those who can't. Well,
they know
because you can see in here. Anyway, but I understand that. But I think for me, and I'm not going to speak for you, babe, but I think the idea of, for me, being able to live on my own made me understand what I would then want with a partner. If I was going to live with someone, things that I would want to hold on to that were, I guess we talk about values and things that were important. And things that I could be cool with letting go.
Right.
Right. And I think in a relationship, it is understanding the things that you both, the two of you work well with and understand together, and the things that you are okay with letting go of.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think this is where, like, I was in a situation where, like, in college and dental school, I always had roommates. I always lived with roommates. And then when we met, I had been living by myself for a couple of years, different places. And that was one of the big things that when we moved in together, and like we were neighbors. It wasn't convenience, you know, it was like my stuff was right there. His stuff was right there. We were like, we should just make a hole in the wall. And actually that would be more convenient than having to like move all of our shit down the hall. Like,
it was much more convenient to still have your own shit. And then she had her own shit.
Exactly. But then we were, you know, the opportunity came up for this like really awesome corner apartment, which some people who follow Hilton on social for a long time probably remember. Like we had a lot of windows.
Wild at Home, a lot of the images from Wild at Home are from that apartment. Yep.
Is it in that building that you guys met in?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Same building.
Exactly. And so we lived right next door to each other, and then we moved. It was the same floor, just down the hall, basically into that unit. But for me, it felt like I had like established myself. I was working, I was making some money, and I was like investing in like some furniture. I was like, I have a couch, I have a bed, I have a coffee table, I have all of these things.
Right.
And then now you're like moving in with somebody and you have to edit down these things.
And whose are you going to take?
And
for sure.
Are you going to take? And
before you get to that part of the moving in with someone, I think it's important to explain, like, for someone who lives by themselves, right? And then you can talk about this from this, I guess, from the full perspective of someone who lives with roommates, let's say. For us, it is, or for me, when I was alone, you're bringing this up now, but the idea of you're creating your world in your space.
Yes.
Then you meet that other person, right? You're dating, maybe they go to your house, then you go to their house, right? You're kind of getting a sense of our styles. How do they align?
Right.
Are they so far different? And no one there was no moment where I was like, ooh, I don't like that thing. We definitely can't.
Yeah, there
do
was.
it. But is that a red flag?
And then you broke it.
Is it the sign?
And then you broke
I never
it.
broke that sign. We tossed that sign in the trash. But you're
I'm
so
talking about my
wrong.
mug. I'm talking about my mug.
I know what you're talking about. Literally, everyone watching this, or you listening to this, I made the biggest mistake I've ever made in breaking this mug, and the timing was so terrible. It was so terrible.
It so much?
It was so terrible how this all happened. I literally was talking about how much I think this mug is disgusting and I don't like it, and I think I broke it right after that.
No way.
Yeah,
my body said, "Throw it."
Yeah, it's exact. And
break it now, then break it, Hilton. Break it. And I was like, no.
Yeah, and it was.
She watched it happen. I watched it happen. And I was like, I don't know what happened.
And it was a mug with my name on it that I had literally had for like 20 years because you
and it
can't
wasn't
find
that bad of a mug. I was just jokingly saying like, this
Hilton.
mug is so ugly.
Yeah, and it was like it's like impossible to find a mug with my name on it. So it was one that we gotten in England when I was like 10 years old.
Stop.
And
Why are
it
you
had
bringing
this-
up old shit? Like,
I'm gonna let you guys unpack this separately.
I broke it, but what I'm saying is,
Yeah, I broke it.
I broke that shit. But what I'm saying is, I think it's important to if you're in a relationship with someone and you're dating, one, you shouldn't date the individual or decide to continue dating them based off of the things that they have in their life.
Oh yeah.
Right. It should be based on love in general. Like I was going to be with you or moving with you, regardless if that mug was still in the home that we have today. Right.
But your home is like.
Hold on. What am I hearing?
There's a plant on your head.
Okay. I'm like, what is that rustling sound? There's a
plant on your head. So on brand.
There is a plant on my head. But so what I'm saying is, I think seeing those things and how. So for me, when we first met, or any other of my past relationships, when I moved in with someone, it was before then. If I was in my own space, like I was before we moved in together, babe, it was this is mine.
Right.
Right. And when it came up that we were possibly going to live together, there's a part of you that has to think about editing down.
Yeah.
And what part of you is going to make it into a full relationship with someone else.
Yeah.
Right. But that's in a sense where you have your own. So as you were saying, you're investing in pieces. Like I like to talk about as forever pieces, things that are going to travel with you from the next place to the next place.
R.I.P. Fiona mug.
Yeah.
Let go.
Anyway.
So okay, so as far as red flags go into moving in with a partner, you said one being what? What's the top thing?
Top thing moving in with someone. I mean, I think, like you said, I don't judge someone by the things they have in their home, but however they keep their home is important to me, because when you move in with someone, that's just not someone you love and adore. Yeah. It's also just your roommate and someone you share a space with.
Yeah.
And I think there's like a general, level of hygiene and cleanliness and cleaning habits, and also a healthy dose of this level of messy is okay with me. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And you have to be on the same level there. Like if I'm super messy and they're super messy, I can't blame them for anything. But you have to be kind of similar in that way, or one person's going to have a hard time, or they both will.
Right. Well, I have friends. We have friends, and they are both exceedingly messy.
Do you know who she's talking about?
I don't, but I'm going to keep looking at her eyes and I'll get there. Keep talking.
They're exceedingly mad. They're my friends. Now your friends.
Oh, they're your friends, and now they've become my friends.
Yeah.
Yep, I know.
Do they know who they are?
No. But they're both
and they don't listen to this podcast.
They don't listen to this podcast, so we can call them out. But they're both messy people, and it's like two teenagers living together.
Yeah.
Yes,
and they have 2 dogs and now a baby.
Oof.
But luckily,
baby too?
Yeah,
Oof.
yeah.
Not
But
the
luckily,
baby.
I mean, they have money to hire people to clean their house.
Good.
And
then value that they want the cleanliness and they'll pay for it.
Yeah, but it's always like if you went in their bedroom or their closet particularly, it's just like clothes vomited everywhere. You know, but it's like their house it's not a dirty house because again, they like hire people to clean it.
Right.
But actually I have multiple people like that where it's like, you know, they would never clean anything.
But if they're both like that, then they're comfortable with that.
It works for them. Exactly.
Because
then you just choose like, okay, well, what's important to us and what can we outsource?
Exactly.
Yeah, but I guess my question would be, a lot of situations, relationship wise, you aren't able to fully get a great sense of how much of that you can put up with. Because a lot of the same time, we're like, look, that's a flag, but how red is that flag? I love this person. Can I not change them? Because it's going to be difficult to change. But some people grow up in basically in situations where they're not taught to close a cabinet door when they open it, close the drawer, take out any trash, fold any piece of clothing after they take it off and put it back. Like they just don't know these things.
For sure.
And they come into a relationship and you can't you can't allow it to happen and then bring it up later as a thing that I'm like, you're upset about.
Right.
I think in some situations you can probably go early, like, hey, when you're just hanging out at that person's house, look, you're a little messy here, you know, like tidy this up a bit.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about, those are like behaviors that you can get a sense of when you're spending a lot of time with somebody,
For sure.
right? Like if you're spending a weekend there, but then, you know, whatever, if you go home Monday morning, then you're like, phew, I don't have to look at those dishes in the sink and like my situation's clean or whatever it may be. But like those are things that you can kind of gauge and get a sense for before you know, make the leap and move in with somebody.
So for you, Mollie, when you decided to move in with your person, what were the things that you considered where you were like, I want to make this happen. I've done it twice before.
Right.
Both have failed.
Right.
Why is this time the right time?
This time's the right time because it's the right person. I mean, that's obviously the biggest reason. But aside from that, one thing I intentionally did differently this time was wait longer before I moved in with them. So I could take longer to really get to know the person, see, you know, not just moving in together and living together, but are we good together like as a couple? Like, do I see a future here? And, you know, months, it just wasn't enough for me to like consider all of those things. And then with my partner now, it just, you know, I think a 1.5 year mark was when we moved in together. We were spending a lot of time together in his home, in my home. And also as someone with 2 cats and a dog, I wanted to see how he interacts with my fur children, you know, and like make sure that there's a good, comfy, safe space for them too. And, you know, just make sure that everything checks out. And that can't be just a one-time thing that happens. You know, it has to, I'm looking for consistency. And that you can only tell over time, which is how like through the 1.5 years of getting to know him getting to know me and my pets and my 40 plants is how I sort of got to like this decision that I felt like really comfortable with. And honestly, you know, having moved in now, everyone's like, how is it? I'm like, it's just normal, which is exactly what I want it to be.
It's been about 2 months now, right?
Yeah.
And you guys got a new place together mutually, or he moved into your place?
I moved into his.
Oh, that's like a whole other dynamic.
It's a whole other dynamic.
Then,
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
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 All right. We don't know anything about that.
No. That sounds...
All right. So, okay.
That sounds crazy.
Let's talk about the thing that sounds nuts.
Because now he has to make space for you.
He has to make space for you.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, across the board, both individuals had to make space for each other in each other's hearts. That's a soundbite for social.
Very cool, very corny.
Hey,
oh my God.
You know me. You know that's why you love me. For us and for everyone, because this had to happen for you as well, and you were going to start chiming in on this. There is that moment where, okay, we're going to move in with each other. You've gathered all the things in your life that are yours: your 40 plants, your table, your favorite chair, your art collection.
Yeah,
I've been collecting these things. Now we're going to combine them.
And now you're bringing your cat into his home. And now your cat is scratching his couch. And
I have a cat. I have 2 cats.
And now it's not his couch. Now it's our couch.
And he loves that couch. Like the first time I ever came over to his house, he talked about that couch at
Like
length.
JD Vance loving his couch, or
Oh my God. Who invited you on the podcast?
No, not that level. Not that level.
All right.
On-
Well, she doesn't know, right, babe? She wouldn't know until
not JD Vance level, but just
this is a political podcast. No.
right. Let's talk about the debate next.
why are these pillows so crusty? If anyone's listening.
But yes, he loves that couch. It was a big purchase for him, and as someone who doesn't super care about like buying nice furniture and like things that last and things that are in style or whatever, this was something that he like really spent money on and like cared about and was like, I want a nice couch and I'm gonna have
couches are expensive.
So
Even if you get a
expensive.
crappy couch,
Yes.
they're
Couches are
expensive.
expensive.
So I was just so worried about my cats moving in and scratching it the fuck up, which they would have because my couch before this was, torn to I just had to dump that thing out.
And he saw that.
Yes. So he had a plan, which
Kill the cats. No.
which were executed. It was executed great.
Execute the cats.
Execute the cats.
Execute.
They are not moving in here.
Execute.
There's this like plastic film, and you can't really see it unless you're up close. But basically, we just wrap
Unless you're on the couch.
bottom
Unless you're
of it
on the
with it.
couch.
It's clear. You can't see it. It's fine.
Yo, straight up, my grandmother's couch in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, what? Are you
Yeah,
serious?
It looks fine.
So
and it works.
but you know what? Actually, that would be worse for our cats because there's something like if
Before she continues, our cats they're not here with us anymore. They passed away.
I'm sorry.
But there's still remnants of them. If you're watching the podcast, I'm going to share.
Yeah.
This is from our past cats.
Per hour.
Because but if there was like toilet paper with like tight plastic wrapped
They
around
liked
it, there was something about like popping her nails through that
Yeah.
and into the
Oh my
soft or
gosh.
like
Okay.
Let's call her out. Let's call her out. She's dead.
Isabella,
You jerk.
yeah, that's
We love
like
you, though.
that's
Miss
That's
you.
on cat.
yeah, that's like something that she would leave stuff alone. But like if I just left I got a new pack of toilet paper, she would
She likes that
like
feeling.
that feeling exactly.
Yeah. Veda does not like that feeling.
So a couch wrapped in plastic, that would just be
She's
like,
like,
an
yes,
invitation.
Christmas morning, y'all.
Yeah.
I think it's important to think about the fact that you have the things that are on your list of the things that you really love,
Yeah.
right? And when Fiona and I, you can talk about, I guess your situation. We were moving into a place that was a tad bit bigger, right? But we had apartments that were exactly the same size, the two of
Right.
us. And how are we going to put these things together?
Was it a 2-bedroom you guys moved into?
We did move.
It was a 1-bedroom with a loft.
Yeah.
So there was an
Okay.
extra loft that we then turned into the cat's loft.
Cat condo. It was cat
condo.
condo up there.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of an awkward space. Like there was a bathroom up there that just turned into litter box bathroom.
Sure.
And then
It worked as a great office. as
yeah,
well.
it would have worked as an office, but it was
Yeah.
kind of dark up there because there were
Very
no
dark.
windows, no skylight or
Oh,
anything. So it was just
okay.
kind of dark. So it wasn't like we turned it into storage,
Yeah.
kind of like
So
ugly storage.
Yeah.
ugly story. So
Yeah.
when we were deciding to do this, there were a lot of things that needed to be basically decided on.
Yeah, that we had to get rid of because it was
Right.
like we had 2 full households and we only needed 1.
Right.
So you had to edit everything down.
And you guys both have been living like alone
Alone.
for a while,
Alone.
so you really start collecting stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, even I was to say, even to this day, we've probably had 2 or 3 fights.
And we've had more like
Like,
Yeah,
disagreements.
yeah.
Disagree. I'm
But-
disagreeing right now.
This is just us talking.
In this moment,
I
we are
disagree. I disagree how many times we have disagreements. But what I'm saying is, this was like the one of the like, oh, okay,
Okay.
Well,
we got to figure this out.
right, because I feel like there were so many like emotions attached to it because I hadn't done it before,
Right.
and I had I was like I was also like 28, 29, something like that. And I had like my own stuff and I had it for, I was living by myself for almost 5 years. And suddenly I was having to give up stuff. And it was things that I had like paid money for. Right. And then now I'm like.
And you picked out.
And I picked out and now I'm like selling it or giving it away and so then it just felt like, well, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to have to reacquire all those things. I'm going to have to spend money on this again. Like, is this really like.
Is this worth it? And that's the thing. She was thinking about all these things.
What were you thinking?
I was in love.
You were like, hell yeah.
He had done it. You'd done it before and you'd untangled yourself again, right?
Yeah, but like Mollie said, it's difficult every single time.
It is,
yeah, but maybe you realize like, look, I can't untangle myself.
That's
like
true.
it's possible.
It's all of it's impossible.
Yeah.
Say you're saying it. You love to say. The deaf one. You're what is it?
Oh, you could be dead and buried in 3 days. Yeah.
There it is. She says it all the time, guys. The one thing I love about my wife, she has the greatest sayings. She'll just say a saying. I'm like, who what old man am I married to?
You know what they say.
Basically. Yeah, all day.
A stitch in time.
She'll say, that's up the monkey's wrist. I'm like, what does that even mean?
What does that mean?
What are you talking about? Where's the monkey? Why is it going up his wrist? Bro? Like, what?
No.
What is it?
It's a Dutch saying, and that one basically means, now the monkey comes out of the sleeve. That's like what you've been saying.
Like the cat's out of the bag? Is that like
Okay. It's like, now the ulterior motive is like revealed. Yeah. So the cat's out of the bag, but the Dutch will say like, now
the monkey comes out of its sleeve.
Out of your sleeve. Yeah.
Like you're finally admitting to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
But this is my dad's fault. He does.
But so I don't know. Sorry, but she does the best. I love you so much. But then I guess at that time, I will say there was a heavier, or it leaned more my way of we're gonna go with a lot of
your stuff,
my decisions.
Okay,
style wise.
This is where I wanted to ask Fiona, because I don't know anything about Fiona's personal style and Fiona, because I think a lot of you is reflected in this house. And I know a lot of you really directed a lot of this renovation of this house. So I want to know, what if Fiona likes like a dark ass basement and no live plants and like.
And we'll be right back after a break from our sponsor. Balancing work and life can be really stressful, and finding ways to work through the stress is always a goal of mine. Of course, the process of nurturing plants helps me to slow down, take a breath, and bring in joy. But unfortunately, my plants aren't licensed therapists with expert advice. Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or you're just a human who lives in this world who is going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in my description. It's betterhelp.com/Hilton. Clicking this link helps to support this channel, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, if you don't really fit with that therapist, which is a common thing with therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. Starting this podcast was supposed to be a little extra therapy for me, getting the ideas in my head out. Good to know I can always use BetterHelp just in case Mollie can't help me. So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Hilton. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for supporting this channel. Now, back to the show.
Well, it's a great question, Mollie.
Thank you. I feel like Fiona doesn't ever get the space to talk about.
Yeah, nobody cares about my design choices.
I do.
Yeah, I know. I love signs. Live, laugh, love. Like that's been. No.
The triple mouth coverage that just happened.
So
We're all covering our mouths because
Comic Sans everywhere.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, no. So
hold on. You already brought it up and you're about to say no.
Okay,
I
hold
did
on.
mention on a previous podcast, and I think we talked about this in our Valentine's Day episode. You did have a sign.
I did. My
house.
friend gave it to me, and
Yeah.
it said, "Cats are like potato chips. You can't have just one."
I love that.
And I had it somewhere high in
Do
my
you
kitchen.
No,
imagine
not in the
dating
home.
someone who has one of those?
I got rid of a sign of Eric's as soon as I moved in. So
Eric had a sign.
he did.
Oh, we have to get into
Yeah.
that.
Like a weird Marshall sale section purchase.
Exactly.
Where else do you find these
That's
things?
how you get them.
Yeah.
That's how you get them. They're always on sale. But anyway, so no. So when we moved in, it was 2016. So it was also the same time that Hilton was kind of starting his social media account, right? Or his Instagram about like his interior design, right? So when we moved in, because he was posting stuff about his old apartment, that's also when I was encouraging him to like just show his own space and telling him, teaching him about hashtags. And so,
Facts.
so us like moving
Hashtag
in.
facts.
Hashtag facts.
Yeah. So us moving in together kind of coincided with that. So some of it was like him doing the design that was like for his Instagram also. And at that point it was just like a fun thing, right? So
Right.
but he wanted things to look a certain way because that's how he wanted to present his like styling choices
Right.
for his social media.
Yeah.
So I understood that. So that was like fine. But then also, of course, there was like the emotional side where I was like, well, that's my stuff.
Right.
And so there are certain things where I like dug my heels in where I was like, no, like this is a thing that we're going to be keeping.
Yeah.
And like what, and things changed also. Like, our plan was to buy a new couch. And as we just discussed, like couches are expensive.
Very.
And Hilton had an IKEA couch that we both didn't love. And I had this couch that I had like, spent some money on, but he was like, I don't like it. So it was basically,
I don't like
it was,
I don't like
right.
it.
So it was basically going to go to my
Kind of
dad's
sounds
house.
like me.
It does.
Yeah, yeah. And then like the day that like we had rented the U-Haul and it was going to go to my dad's house, we like took all the pillows and blankets off and Hilton looked at it and he goes, actually, that's kind of a cool couch. Like we should actually just keep it.
What?
Because all the couches we were looking at were one, expensive, and two, kind of like the couch that I actually already owned.
Interesting.
So then we decided to just like keep my couch,
Good.
right? Which wasn't initially the plan, but he was like, oh, once I got these ugly pillows off of it, like I like the couch
the pillow
now.
that says like
Hashtag.
it's wine o'clock. Like, you cut that off. You're like, actually.
Yes, exactly. You know what it is? And let
Home
me
is
talk.
wherever I'm with you.
It's
I
go ahead.
don't think I want to let you talk. I think I'm still talking.
Continue.
Hey.
Continue.
Hey.
Continue. What happened next?
But I mean, I think that was the point is that, and that there were some things that you had that I wasn't in love with, right? Like
Yeah.
there were like some pieces of art that I was like, I'm sorry, I just don't want to look at that because
Hasn't gone up in the home since.
well,
But I
mean,
understood that.
yeah, I mean, because there were some things that was maybe like, religious iconography that I was like, I don't really identify
Oh,
with that.
fair.
Like, I don't want to look at that. And, in a house, like it could be in a room where I don't have to look at it all the
Sure.
time. But like in our apartment, it was like our kitchen or living room, everything was right there. You're always
Right.
looking at the stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So there was like some stuff that I was like, I don't really,
Care
I don't,
for it.
I don't really care for it. I don't really want to look at that piece of art. Can we hang it really high? Can we?
Put it in that weird loft space.
I wasn't
Yeah.
thinking that's the thing you were bringing up. I'm not religious, but the piece of art was a cool piece of art that I got from a friend. I thought you were bringing up the one about the,
The pigs. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was in my mind too. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So then there were some areas where I like dug my heels in where I was like, no, like this painting I want up.
Right.
This bar cart we are not getting rid of.
Right.
Like there were some things and Hilton was like, I just don't know how I'm going to make this work.
Right.
And I was like, well, if you want to do design, I'm the difficult client. Figure it out.
oh, I love that.
Basically is what I said.
love that. This is what you want to do for a living?
Yeah.
Try
I was
me
like,
out.
I'm the difficult client, figure it out. And then he did. But that was a fight. Like that was definitely.
It was
that
fight for
the
you.
argument?
It wasn't I wasn't fighting you about it. You dug in, as you said.
Because you would have
and
just
for me,
thrown it
I mean,
out. You
and-
would have
Yeah.
just thrown it out. You would have just been like,
We would have
dumpster
sold
time.
it, and I'm throwing it out. We would have sold it, but I just don't. The thing is, and this is one of the like, if you're in a relationship and you're just making decisions to partner or move in with a partner, you got to be flexible and know that there are going to be decisions that need to be made where you're going to lose some of the things that you really love to make the space work for you. And you're also going to have to just allow some of the stuff that you don't feel excited about, that your partner already owns, that they truly love, to enter into your space. Because from the point, I guess, from the perspective of you have your place, they have their place. Now it's your place together,
right?
And you have to make that space work, right? Especially if you are in love that individual. So for me, a bar cart, a piece of art, couch, whatever it is, to me that wasn't worth me losing the individual who I love the most. I think the way of seeing it better is, how can I make this small thing, because it's all just, all this shit can go up in flames today. The person you're with, like that you can rebuild after that, right? So they're all just pieces. So it's like, how do you then, like she said, how do you make it work? How do you make it work for you, since you're the one who you don't really enjoy it?
Right.
So I will tell you that cat sign that made it into our apartment. It was hidden in a way, but it made it into our apartment.
Well, I mean, and that wasn't one that I was like, this must come.
But
Like,
you,
it was a joke.
You sure as hell didn't go, we can toss it then. Like,
But
when we moved here, I was like, this isn't coming with us.
No, but it was funny. It was cute and it was funny.
Is it cute? Was it cute? Let's say it one more time. Cats are like chips. You can never just have one. That's cute. Who is that cute to? Look, again, I say it's loud in this podcast now. If it's for you, do you. You know what I mean? But that ain't cute.
I think it's a cute saying. I don't think it belongs on a wall.
But okay, so that wasn't a thing that I was like, this must come. Like, I wasn't gonna die on that hill, and I didn't ask for it.
That'd be weird if that's the hill you decided to die on.
Okay, no, that's the hill she's dying on. We're not having kids.
Yeah. So that, but Hilton like put that up, and I was like, oh, that's sweet, right? Like, that was cute.
That's
like, you put that up, like extending an olive branch to make it feel even. But so I think that's the point I was going to make, because if you feel like it's not 50-50, or like it's all one person and you're the person giving everything up, then that's just, in my book, I was worried that was going to create resentment, right?
For sure.
That was going to be like, well, now I'm just living in your world and now I'm resentful about it.
I definitely felt,
I didn't want that.
It was, I definitely felt those feelings coming from her.
Resentment?
No, that she thought that.
Oh.
Like, she didn't want it to become that. Like, she felt like it was becoming lopsided. Like, it would become lopsided.
I think also because you care about your space a lot. And, I'm sure you had so much stuff that you've had over the years that like matter to you, that combining those two things is hard. I think it was a different situation for me, because my partner did not care about pretty much anything in his place, and just was like, do whatever you want
in his space. So now that you're together, is
except the couch
and
the TV.
Okay.
Those two things
he wrapped the couch in plastic before you moved.
Oh in. Yeah.
He was like, they're not fucking, because he was like,
Google reviews for everything.
Because this relationship could end.
Yeah.
But me and this couch, we in it together. We've been here. We've been through a lot.
They've been through a lot. Yeah. And I wasn't about to impede on that.
Again, not JD Vance style. No. Been through a lot. Just been,
PG.
He's crashed out there.
He loves
PG
that couch.
stuff.
And to be fair, that couch is great. I love that couch.
Yes.
Like,
you
I
don't want it to get messed up either.
Too.
Yeah, you want to protect it, of course.
And I would feel so bad if it was like my cat's ruining something that matters so much to him.
Is it a leather couch?
No, it's fabric.
It's a fabric couch wrapped in plastic.
The bottom, it sounds so much worse than it looks. I'm going to send you guys a picture when I get home.
Imagining it, it is terrible.
It's like plastic.
It is absolutely terrible.
No. There are these like invisible film that you stick to the bottom. It does not look that bad, is all I have to say.
You'll send, we'll put the images in the show notes. You can all judge in the comments.
For everyone to look at and
so
vote.
As someone living in, you're a couple.
Yeah.
He owns this home.
Yeah.
You moved in.
Yeah.
Do you consider it your home together now?
I do.
Got it. Okay.
I do for many reasons, aside from the fact that I live there. It's just that I brought so much to the space, aside from just me, myself, and my stuff. Like, just me being there. It's like obvious that I live there. And I think, you know, aside from my cats, my dog, my plants, it was my first time downsizing too, ever. In the 10 years I lived in DC. So it was really tough for me to go from these like bigger houses that I lived with roommates and had all these furniture in to a smaller, much smaller condo situation and trying to figure out, like you were talking about, how to make it work. Like I was just trying to figure out how to make it work with all my stuff. And at one point, I mean, like 2 weeks into me moving in, I was like, I have like 3 extra lamps. And I'm like, I love all of these lamps, but I have nowhere to put these lamps. I literally don't have a surface to put any of these lamps. So I had to like sell them on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, give them to friends. And I'm like, it was just little things like that. That once I moved in, I'm like, oh, I have space for it. And then once I actually place things, I'm like, I don't have space for this stuff. The only thing I could not negotiate on was getting rid of any of my plants. So all 40 of my plants are in there.
But then, I mean, couldn't negotiate on these cats. I was like, you have 2, we can lose 1.
No.
I'm coming in with 1 dog.
And then, and the plants, that's a whole other situation because you have to make sure that you have enough light for the plants too. So if you're coming from a place that's really bright to like a darker condo.
And you can't just place them anywhere. They have to be in the light. Yeah, exactly.
So, that's a red flag if you're dating someone who has
lives in a basement apartment.
Low light situations.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, this can't work.
That ain't gonna work.
Well, I was going to say, like, a big thing for us was getting our pets together, getting Charlie and Zoe and Isabella together. Like, that was...
You had pets. He didn't have pets.
He didn't have pets. He had 1 plant.
That works for you.
Worked great for me.
He's like, yo, not only am I getting all these plants, now I'm getting pets.
And his plant was disease-free. There was no scale.
It was actually a part of mine.
Question.
I gave him a cutting, and that was his only.
So he's already
that was a really great
orbit.
Question.
That's my girl.
But yeah, I like to say I was like a single mom of 43. You know, like me and my 40 plants plus 2 cats, 1 dog, moving into this condo with this man. I know.
I think the other thing that's a huge issue when you move in with somebody, it's like the first time really that you have to figure out finances together.
Yes.
Have you guys run into any sticky situations?
No, luckily, no. I think we're both fairly, I don't want to say, we have very similar things that we value financially. So things like travel, we value. And the same goes for things that we can like just kind of not spend money on. So I think that's really important too. Not just like how much money you have, but what you decide to spend that on, and make sure that you agree and respect each other's spendings.
Right. But then also things like paying the bills.
Yeah, go for it. Paying the bills, paying for food. What is the situation there? How do you make those? So those are the things you got to come into the relationship thinking like, look, we
paying
are on the same page.
How did you guys like figure that out?
You know what? I can't even remember.
You're right. Like we're talking about this thing, but we don't remember how we did it.
Yeah. Like, so the rent we split, like I remember we would actually write like two separate checks. And
I think we just pay for food just the way you pay for food. I got the food. Now you get it later. And it was just like, it wasn't like he loves to eat these things. You should just buy those things because I don't eat them.
Right.
I think in our relationship has always been, and which it still is today, and which I think works when you care for someone, is that you're not itemizing like the thing that like you have 2 cats. Yeah. Why should I have to pay for the cat food?
That's what I mean about loose. It's not really loose, but you're thoughtful, I guess. And understanding.
I can't even remember. Like, I feel like for our electricity and that stuff, like
we split it. I think you paid electricity
and you paid, and I paid internet or something.
Internet and all. Yeah, I think we just split it up in a way where I never thought about the electricity. Like if the electricity bill was being paid, I just knew
who pays it now. You're paying. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
Who keeps the lights on in this place?
Who's paying BG&E?
I don't know. I just know you keep talking to me about boring stuff. Like, did you know that last month we've used less energy than all of our neighbors?
No, we always use more because we have EVs. But anyway, he's always like, what is this email you're looking at? I'm like, it's just a breakdown.
Like, let me show you this chart.
It's a bar graph.
This whole episode is of me just going, what are you doing? It looks so boring, you nerd.
What are you reading?
What are you listening to?
What are you listening to?
Nerd.
I hate it.
I hate it.
And the other thing couples love to argue over is the thermostat, the temperature.
Oh my gosh.
We talked about this for this actual episode. Is it? Are you too cold? Am I warm blooded? You're cold. I just think the thing is that's something you can get past. I think in all situations when it comes to relationships wise, financials are going to be the one thing. So if you can align there, it's going to be so much easier.
Agreed.
The other stuff that comes up that can be unknowns when you first move in with someone is, like you mentioned earlier, cleanliness.
Yeah.
Right. But it can also be like, like sleeping habits.
For sure.
Right.
Because it's like when you're dating, you like go to sleep at the same time and you wake up around the same time. But if you live together, it's so possible that I want to stay up and like they want to go to bed or vice versa. And
we dealt with a lot of that. And I got the question that I know Fiona wants to ask.
What?
When was the first time you farted around Eric? Because when you live with someone, the farts fly.
Guys, I still have yet.
You still have yet to fart?
We don't fart in front of each other,
we don't,
really.
But
our daughter does.
Our daughter loves it.
Oh my God.
She just likes to bring it up.
Yes, Holland.
She's like, I farted.
She's like, I farted. Like,
I love her taking responsibility.
You know what? Also, so Pepper just got spayed, right? So when I was in the car, she farted. Like,
the cat
and
farted?
Yes, and like sometimes I like blame Holland because I'm like, oh, Holland must have farted, and we'll ask her, and she'll be like, no. And I'm like, okay, my child's lying. I'm like, Pepper farts. Like, she farted in the car. It wasn't me.
Why
Nobody
are you
else was
calling her
there.
out right now?
Yeah. Cats fart too.
Cats do fart.
Yeah.
I think those things too, you gotta like
Cats fart too. And that'll be the title of this episode.
Cats fart too.
Charlie's farts were in another level.
Oh, Charlie's
like,
farts.
Oh my God. My friend one time was
Rest
like, I
in
thought
peace,
somebody
Charlie.
made that noise with their mouth. Like it was.
He's legit.
He would deflate. Like it was just, it would go on for like a minute.
He's
and it'd be
legit.
like, it just
That's
sounded,
my guy.
Yeah, it sounded like
that.
somebody
I
punctured
think-
your tire.
Punctured your tire.
It did.
I think those are valid things to think about, especially because like you said, you don't know those things and you're trying to hold back on certain things. Like I live
Like your farts.
Yeah.
not just your farts, but I live.
Like your
I
farts.
lived my relationship before her. I lived with my ex, and she had a very small space that I moved into it with her.
Wow.
Right, and it was a really tiny house.
Uh-huh.
Like the house. It's the size like of a garage.
Oh my.
But it's in Venice, so it's a house.
One
and it's
bedroom?
One bedroom, but very tiny. And the bathroom is right next to the bed.
Yeah.
Like right next to the bed. So
Yeah.
you're sleeping.
You can't hide much.
You
in
can't
that.
hide much in that situation. And I'm just like, this is a terrible situation to like, we just started living together. And I'm like, I can't hide anything from you.
Right.
I can't keep the sounds of my body
Yeah.
Well, and
from ruining this situation.
Yeah.
but here's also like when we weren't living together yet, when we were just neighbors, the walls were so thin and our bathrooms were directly next door to each other.
Yes, I remember you guys talking about that.
I could hear you taking a pee.
True.
That,
You know,
But
like,
it's not next to your head.
no.
And, you know what I mean?
Well, but I like the way the vents were, maybe, I don't know.
Oh my
it was
goodness.
literally like I could hear you in the bathroom. Like if you were in the bathroom and I was in the bathroom, I remember always being so quiet in there because I would be like before
can
we started
hear me,
dating,
yeah.
because I was like, oh my God, he can hear me. Like I can hear him, so
That
he
means
must be
he
able to
can
hear
hear
me.
Ooh, she's farting in there. Gross. So you and Eric have figured out finances
Mhm.
so far.
We're good.
You're good.
Yeah.
He buys the food, you buy the food, you do the things.
Yeah, food wise, I would say I buy more because I cook more and
Mhm.
I want to buy. Like I like going and like pick my groceries and like go to the Korean grocery store and
For
like
sure.
I know what to buy, which I like doing because I cook more. And that's something again that I feel like I bring to the house is like actually utilizing this kitchen and like
For sure.
making us nice food. And I like doing that. So that works out great. He's great at doing the dishes and prefers to do them, which I love too. And it just,
sure.
it worked out well there. And I think that's another thing of just like household chores, right? It's like who does what and like when is it nagging and when is it just checking in, you know?
So that's a big one. I think, but no, in here in this house, there isn't a chores list.
Right.
Like you
I
do
don't
this,
do that either.
I do that. And I think this is a part of, and not saying that you don't do this or you wouldn't do it. I think it just ties back to, which I think is important, when I had my own apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that
I don't
was something
wait.
you were in the habit of doing. Yeah.
If it's there to be done, I'm just gonna do it, and I'm not gonna go. Why isn't she taking the trash out?
Right.
Why are these sinks why is the sink full of dishes? If the sink's full of dishes, I need to put the dishes in the dishwasher.
Right.
And it gets done. And I think we're on that same page where if it's looking me right in my face,
You're just gonna do
I'm
it.
gonna do it. So if the trash is full, I've watched my wife plenty of times take the trash out, put it in the trash can outside.
Right.
Versus just like, well, I'm gonna keep stacking this because Hilton does the trash. Like,
But
Right.
he just
he's seen
does
me
it.
stack it too.
Yes.
I was like, I'll be the first to say.
I have also said, what are you doing?
Play that trash Jenga. See what happens.
Yeah. But then he gives me really, really nice positive reinforcement when I do. He'd be like, "Oh my gosh, babe, look at you go!
Look at you go!
Look at you! Like,
Look at you go!
Look at you.
You throw that trash, girl. Yes,
you can do it."
But anyway, we do fall into our roles where I think financially she's really good at paying a bill.
Love
My
that
wife
for you.
loves
I know
it.
she's
She
looking at the
lo-
graph. She's comparing to her
Yeah.
neighbor's
She
spending.
loves opening an envelope. I'm more like,
this
bail?
is not,
Get this out of here.
This is not. It's like those are things that need to get done.
Yeah.
And I think I don't want to nag him about it.
Sure.
And be like, did this get paid? Did this get paid? Like, I'd rather just do it versus nagging him about it.
For sure.
And I'm the one that like checks our bank account and makes sure that there's money in there for our credit card and our mortgage and daycare and whatever. And then
Amazing.
make sure that there's
Yes.
like, I mean, I don't know when the last time was that you like checked into our bank
I don't even
account.
know what bank accounts we
Yeah,
have.
Hilton doesn't know. Like I'm the person that
I
does
just
that.
send the money to an account.
Yeah,
I don't
he,
even know
like,
which account it actually
literally-
goes into, but
He literally
goes there?
doesn't know. I know. I'm the person who does all that. So if I die, then I don't know.
Yeah.
You'll have
what are you
to
gonna
unlock
do?
my phone and use my face. You know?
oh shit, she did. Oh, give me that phone.
Give me that phone.
I need these codes
I
now.
need the money.
Get the passwords. Yeah, you just better.
I'll call afterwards,
Yeah.
but I gotta get this money thing situated. So yeah. Anyway, I do think like those are roles you fall.
Oh my God.
Sorry, they're gonna be the roles that you fall into, and I think what works, and I think what doesn't work, and the reason why I can say doesn't, you can't say this because you've never been in one of these. You could probably say it because you've lived with someone before. Is that you can't take. It's not taking note. Maybe it is taking note.
You can't keep score.
You can't
Yeah,
keep score.
that's exactly
Exactly. You can't keep score. Once you start doing that, you might as well call it a wrap
For sure.
because that ain't going to work.
That's going to turn into spite and resentment.
There
real
it
quick.
is.
Yeah.
There it is. And another thing that I will say that it was very important for me through the process of learning through other relationships is when you have a disagreement
Mm-hmm.
or an argument, work it out there before you go to bed.
You sound like my partner.
Yeah,
The
and
only
you know
I will
what?
say the only time we didn't work this out, which I think, those moments where like core memories, we talked about
Yeah.
this in the past, core memories and like moments you fall in love with someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once Fiona and I, we were already living together. We were both out drinking. She had maybe not more than me, but she's a smaller person than me. So it looks like more than me on her.
On her.
And I said something, she said something, and I said something back. I was on the couch and she's walking away to the bedroom and she was like, I'm going to bed. And then she turned around, she was like,
Oh, she flicked you off.
She did, and that's like not something I really do.
She never did.
I never do that. Like,
and she gave me the middle
yeah.
finger. And it was one of those moments, those moments where you're like, ooh. If we weren't fighting right now, we would have a baby. 9 months from today, we'd be having a baby. Because
And then
I'm
Holland was
very
born.
turned on.
But it almost like broke the ice, and then it was like funny.
Yeah,
it was
because
like,
the way
I don't think I've
finger
ever
goes up, it's like,
seriously done that when I'm mad. Like,
she stormed like just storms off, and I actually obviously I couldn't laugh while it was happening.
No.
But as soon as she walked up, I just laughed.
I know.
I
It
was
just,
like, oh my god.
like looking back, it just smells like a toddler getting angry.
Yeah,
it
is.
like
It was just drunk, mad, and
it was just,
and you can't express yourself because you're
yeah.
drunk, and so you're just
I was just like, ugh.
yeah, it was that moment. My wife being drunk two moments that there's a lot of moments that I've loved and it's been funny. But the other moment, you are a dentist, and it was the moment where you were drunk and you're ready to go to bed, and she turns to me, she goes, I'm gonna go to bed tonight right now, and I'm not gonna brush my teeth. And just went to bed.
You
I was like,
you confessed.
what?
I just told her, I know.
I'm a dentist and I am not brushing my teeth.
I'm not brushing my teeth tonight. I'm like, oh my God.
I know. I remembered I was on the couch. I was like, I'm going straight to bed. Is what I just, and I just kept
popped
saying,
up and just turned to me and said, like, I want you to know.
straight to bed. Like, I'm going straight to bed. And he was like, okay. And I was like, no, I'm going straight to bed. Like, I'm not brushing my teeth. I'm just going straight to bed.
That is how our daughter sounds. Exactly. Like word for word. And that's how she's cadence and everything. And I'm like, no.
I'm not brushing
But with
my
her,
teeth.
I was just like, what? This is okay.
Dentists do that
I was
too.
like, you do you.
And no, like, I mean, that is like one of those things that like my autopilot, no matter how much I have to drink, my autopilot is like, I'm brushing my teeth before bed. That's not something I ever like skip. But I just remember like, I was so tired. I'd fallen asleep on the couch or like dozed off on the couch. And like, we had some drinks and I just was like, I'm just not doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, I felt this
because the process of brushing your teeth
you
kind
up
of wakes
You
again.
have to
back up.
stand up and like be in the light, water. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
I was
lot
just
of
like, I'm
movement.
not doing it. And I felt like I had to like announce it and confess it before.
I love that for you. That you're like,
before I
Well,
did
that was the thing too. I think, and I will say a major, what is it? Beyonce upgrade.
Beyonce
Upgrade?
Beyonce is the word to get you there.
I've been upgraded because with that being said, like before there was plenty of times where I went to bed without brushing my teeth.
Yeah, me
Sure.
never.
Wow.
Never.
There's hardly ever a night where I don't brush my teeth before I go to bed.
So
after
yeah,
starting
that's
dating
one
him.
of the things that I
And that's the thing I'll
it's a
say,
good
like
influence.
going into a relationship, you have to know these things.
Yes, and you kind of pick up each other's habits.
and hopefully you're picking up somebody's good habits.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's any good habits that
100%. Eric is so good at going to bed at a certain time and like waking up at a certain time. I am so bad at that. And when he's like, I'm going to like start getting ready for bed at like 10, I'm like, what? Like, no, there's still so much night ahead. Like I have so much more 90 Day to watch. Like I have so much more of this novel to read and Instagram to look through. Yeah. But when he does it, I'm kind of like, oh, fine. Like, I guess I'll like join you. And then I also fall asleep and I feel great the next day. It's stuff like that I'm, not forced. He's not forcing anything on me.
Yeah.
I'm just like kind of mimicking his ways by being around him so much. And I hope vice versa too. But I mean, I'm just so fortunate with him as a partner, but also just as a roommate.
Mm-hmm.
He just takes such great care of the house. He takes great care of my pets. He cares about the space.
We need to number one though.
What?
Takes great care of you.
And me, of course, me. That part I knew was going to happen already. He always does. So that hasn't changed.
But that you knew, and that's what made you feel comfortable moving in with him.
100%. Yeah. And just the way he, treats the people around him and his family, like all of that matters to me. I think the people and the space you surround yourself with is such a reflection of who you are and how you decide to treat others. And that's what I learned.
That's a good thing to consider when moving in with someone.
Yes.
And I was also going to say the way he treats himself, right?
Yeah,
because the fact that he cares about his sleep.
Yes.
And he goes to bed at a certain time and he wakes up at a certain time. Like, if you're feeling your best, you can be your best for the people that you love.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. That's such a thing. I mean, that's the only way you can like show up, And we were just talking about that in like a work situation too, of like making sure to take time away from work and take care of yourself so that you can be the best person you can be at work too. So I think that's the same thing in a relationship and being a good partner.
We've been doing this for 8 years now.
Yeah.
8 years
living together.
Yeah.
Are there any things that you can say like that moment, the moments before we moved in, we were making a decision to move in with each other. You were very stressed. I was stressed. We're trying to figure it out. Some of the things that you could tell yourself now, like, don't stress about that. That'll work out. Or definitely, I wish Voice be louder here.
So I, again, like, you know, I was stressed about it. I was like, well, what if it doesn't work out? And then I've given up my things. I've given up my stuff and I'm going to have to reacquire these things and spend money on it. And so that was like in the back of my mind. And like, I mean, obviously it worked out. We have a beautiful family. We have an amazing house. Like, obviously it worked out. So, I mean, I guess I could go back and like tell myself like, oh, don't worry, it will work out. Right. But I mean, I didn't know that at the time, right? So that felt like something. And I think I didn't.
But no one's going to know that.
Nobody
Like,
knows
you
that.
still don't know that
Nobody knows
today.
that, right? And I think for me, I had to just make sure that it wasn't going to cause resentment, right? That it didn't feel like I was just, and like some people said this too at the time. They were like, oh, does Fiona live here? Or it just looks like all of Hilton's stuff, right?
None of my
like,
people said that. That's all. She's talking about her own friends.
No.
She's talking about her core friends.
Oh, come on. People said that. And that's
My
something
friends?
that, well, and yeah,
My
your
friends
friends
like Hilton and Fiona's place looks great.
Yeah. But if I had felt some sort of way about it,
Right.
then that would have been like, I would have been like, "Grr," you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think
Like,
that's the
I-
compromise. There's never a situation where Eric's
But here, hold on. Let me just
go
make
ahead,
this
go for
point.
it, go for it.
The point is that I felt comfortable with how we solved it.
Yes.
That when people made those comments, it didn't impact me.
For sure.
I wasn't hurt by those comments, or
What do you mean by how we solved it?
that I felt like you had like respected my things
Got it.
enough, and enough of my
Got it.
stuff was
Yeah.
like
Represented.
incorporated
Yeah,
and
yeah.
represented. That like when those comments came about, it didn't make me lash out
For
or
sure.
like I was able
That's
to just
what-
be like,
Yeah, and that
"No,
would have been a
that's
weird
fair."
thing for them to say too, because the couch was hers, the dining table, dining chairs were hers.
Right.
The only thing that was different was the art,
Yeah, I mean,
which is art's always going to be a major
Yeah, it
thing.
makes a
that,
big difference
Yeah.
in a space.
and then there was some stuff that we like
Plants.
bought together, and the plants, and there, you know, there was like the space looked different, and it looked more masculine, more like kind of what your style was.
Sure.
But again, like because I was comfortable with how
Yeah.
we solved it, when those comments came about, I wasn't like rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
There wasn't any resentment behind it. I was just like, nope, this is my home too.
For
like,
sure.
and
And
it
if you
wasn't-
did feel that way, like you would
She would
say
have voiced it.
something.
Yeah.
It's like the
Exactly.
communication part again, right?
Yeah.
That's so important there.
very important. It's a major step. You've done it before.
Yeah.
So
Shout out to my partner.
Shout out to your
Shout
partner.
out Eric.
Shout out
I
to
love
Eric.
you. Thank you.
Eric, you've made a huge decision. Is this his first time?
No, not his first time.
Okay,
either.
so he already knows what it's about.
Yeah.
Um,
Not with me though.
that's true. Not with you.
And then like, did you write your name on the bottom? So like when it doesn't work out, you'd be like, I'm taking this, I'm taking that.
I never
No.
thought to do that. Just Sharpie, like
Don't look under
Mollie.
this. Don't look under this coffee table.
Yeah, it just says Hilton Carter, like etched in.
Mine. It's all it says. Everything it says is in mine.
Mine.
No, Hilton likes to say what's mine is mine.
No,
What's
no.
yours is mine and what's mine is mine.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
No,
It's
that's
all
not what I
yours.
like to say. You can't just make up things. You can't just do that.
I can hear you say something like that.
No, our whole relationship is what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine or yours.
No, what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine.
Yeah, that's everything's yours.
Yeah, everything's yours.
This is BS, guys.
This makes sense.
But I will
this
s-
tracks.
This is Hilton's head.
Yeah, this is
This is
Hilton's head.
inside Hilton's head.
Are you guys in my head right now?
Yeah.
You are. Then you might be right.
We are currently inside your head right now.
Then I wake up like, no, I just think if anyone's out there who's coming up with it's a situation where they're like, I gotta possibly move in with a partner.
Yeah.
I think, like off top, the one thing is communication.
For sure.
That's it.
Be open and honest about your needs.
There it is. And any relationship, see the flags. Don't tuck them away. Don't try to change the color of them. If you see it, it exists and it's not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, speaking of flags, it's the white flag. We're going to raise it right now.
Yeah.
Babe, I want to thank you for being on the pod today.
Thanks, Fiona.
Thanks for having
Thanks
me,
for
guys.
joining. Veda,
Yeah.
thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
inviting
You did-
yourself. We love it. You got to come on more
Yeah,
often.
I think there might be an episode, a special episode where we have the two of you, Mollie and Fiona, talk about 90 Day Fiance.
Yes.
And
Holes
romance
collection.
novels, 90 Day
Romance
Fiance.
novels.
Birds.
Birds.
An
Oh.
hummingbird
Birding
update.
What about mushrooms? Do you know anything about mushrooms?
I love mushrooms. I want to go foraging so bad.
See, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, guys. Thank you so much for, if you're still listening, for sticking through this one. It's very important to me to share this area with my wife and my child, and I think for Mollie, relationships, once you move that stage of moving in with someone, that's when then all the other questions start to pop up. I mean, they can pop up without moving in, right? But I think at this point, even the other people around you, friends, family, they start to go, this 100%. Is serious.
I just went to go see my extended family, so yes.
They're like, this is the guy.
We had lots of questions.
Are you engaged? Is there a ring?
Yeah.
So many questions.
Those things are going to pop up. So,
well, here's what I'll say about that is if you're shocked that somebody's proposing, you're doing it wrong.
I agree with that.
This is true.
I so agree with that.
This is true.
Yeah, that should have all been talked about beforehand.
Yeah, I think. Did I propose to you?
No, we just decided we were going to get married.
Yeah, I was saying, like, I don't remember.
Yeah,
like,
there was no proposal.
Like, I was like, we're deciding to get married.
Yeah.
We're going to get married. Like, how do I show, like, hey, here's the ring I got you. I just want to make sure you're into this.
Yeah, because that was the one I was.
You didn't get on your knee?
No, there's no proposal.
There was no proposal. We were never engaged. We just got married.
Wow.
But we knew we were getting married.
Like we were like,
and we told our family we were going to get married, but we didn't tell other people.
Right.
I think Ryan knew. Like some people knew.
Yeah, we didn't go. I didn't get on my knee and say, "Will you marry me?"
Yeah,
we already had the discussion. We're gonna get married. We're gonna get married,
and we're gonna go here and get married.
Yeah.
But we never there was no like engagement ring. And,
right.
Yeah.
Now I think about it. How did we come up? How did the discussion happen?
You know, honestly, I think when we were at my friend Eileen's wedding in September in Germany, I think that's when we were like, well we should get married.
Like, this is nice. Should we do this?
We should do this too.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like when we talked about like, oh, we should get married. And then we were like, when should we get married? When should we do this? And then we
we could have both got on one knee together. Right then and there.
Oh.
Yeah.
And just said, will you marry me? Jinx, buy me a Coke.
Basically.
And then that would have been it. But it's been special. Ever since we moved in, I think that was the thing. People expect the next things to happen.
Yeah.
So,
which I'm trying my very best to enjoy, like the present and the now, and not, think so far ahead. And right now, I'm just so happy, like sharing the space with someone I love, and having my own little fur babies and plants to take care of, and just enjoying that.
That's awesome. We're gonna have to get updates on how you guys decide on holiday decor.
I will definitely let you know about that.
For sure. Who's excited about it? Who isn't excited?
And are there different holidays that you celebrate?
For sure.
Or,
I don't know. I was trying to end this episode like a long time ago, so I'm going to end it now. Thank you all for listening. Like Mollie likes to say,
press the button, do the thing, like, hit, subscribe, whatever.
Thank you so much. We'll be talking to you soon.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Fiona.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Veda.
Bye.
She raised her hand.
Yeah, she did.
Balancing work and life can be really stressful, and finding ways to work through the stress is always a goal of mine. Of course, the process of nurturing plants helps me to slow down, take a breath, and bring in joy. But unfortunately, my plants aren't licensed therapists with expert advice. Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or you're just a human who lives in this world who is going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in my description. It's betterhelp.com/Hilton. Clicking this link helps to support this channel, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, if you don't really fit with that therapist, which is a common thing with therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. Starting this podcast was supposed to be a little extra therapy for me, getting the ideas in my head out. Good to know I can always use BetterHelp just in case Mollie can't help me. So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Hilton. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for supporting this channel.